It's so funny when you didn't realize that, like, this whole time, the reason why you had to keep starting over, or the reason why things weren't working the way and your throat was clearing up, is because I needed to add some lip gloss. Just that small change. That small change really makes a difference. And that's what you maybe will notice, that in a time of action, or when it's time to go do something that has become routine in your life, even if it's not at the same time all the time, it's just a routine. All of a sudden, something small, something slight interacts with you, and then all of a sudden, it makes things just a little bit more for you, like more of an experience. And then you realize, like, oh, this is what I'm missing, is like the things that you do that have become routine and that are no longer like fun or enjoyable, is because you've found them at those times in your life when you needed to. Then all of a sudden it becomes unenjoyable because you're just indulging in it maybe too often, or seeing it as something that is supposed to make you feel a certain way. And that's where, when the fixed signs get really comfortable, eventually it's just because it's a part of the routine. And where's the mystery? Well, as a water psychic sign, but yet fixed, this month something slight may surprise you. And it's like going to a restaurant, trying it, not loving it, but then going back and finding something that you absolutely love. Or going on a first date and you're like, I don't know if I love that, but then there's so many things into play. Let me just try it again. Then you realize, or you need a few more, or whatever it is. Learning to maybe retrust your intuition, retrust whatever has come through, especially Mars and Gemini, whatever has come out and really touched upon your vulnerabilities. And those vulnerabilities are normally attached to or connected to, depending on where you're at within these vulnerabilities, because there are layers to everything. There's this part of you that has felt stuck, and now Mars in Gemini is pulling it forward, or nurturing and encouraging it forward, encouraging you to come out of a place where you have felt stuck, and to allow your brain to have certainty on a good idea or a good move or the next best thing, and to let yourself fully feel it. And you can feel it. It's almost like a breath of fresh air that you have been wanting, but yet been so afraid of. And naturally, eventually, those points will meet, as far as I think anyway. And so, regardless of my personal opinion, this is also showing you is like something unexpected will hit you at the right time, in the right way for you. And it will illuminate something that you've maybe felt like not good about, especially an idea. Maybe it will reopen an idea that you've had in a way that is unexpected. And it will maybe communicate to you. For some of you, it may be through someone that you know, or someone that you know but aren't super close to, through someone else. That could definitely be a way. But then for you, it also could be where you are seeing, where you are behind a certain, this is the fixed nature, you're behind a certain wall, or you're in a certain place in your career or your path where you feel almost stuck or stunted. And in order for your mental health, right, to become healthy, if you're not feeling good with your mental health, what becomes very clear are the things that you want to control. Whatever you're feeling really adamant about controlling, especially if it's your life, right? It's your life. You want to make the decision. You're independent. You're a boss ass bitch. Whatever it is that you are, you want to make the decisions now, or you're climbing the ladder quickly, or you're going somewhere quickly, but you realize that something just isn't adding up, and it's actually hurting your brain, which is hurting your heart. You're a Scorpio. Like, even if you know, for those of you who are watching, like, Scorpios are, I hate them, or you don't love them, or you do love them, whatever it is, whatever they do, if they believe in it, they do it really well. It doesn't matter how good or bad it looks. And if you're doing something where what it's exposing to you is that maybe one of your vices, which is where I find Virgos and Scorpios related, is how those can cause you to almost weigh out, and it becomes more important than like whatever actually needs to be done or thought through in your life, like whatever needs to be processed. And Virgos can get stuck there too, but what you both also bring to the table with that is like, well, you have this also this adrenaline side of you that you put that are in different ways, but they're also very strategic. Like, you do it either in a time where you're super at a detriment, so like, what the fuck's the risk, or in a time where you're feeling really fucking good and your ego's in the air and you know that you have nothing to lose anyway because you're good, right? And then this is where you're finding where you need to meet it in the middle, especially if it's been influenced by like a father figure or by the people that you're connected to. What this will also bring up for you is that your it might also be I'm thinking about the moon cycle, and I need to look at my notes. So between the moon cycles, this is where we're now going. Between the moon cycles, Virgo new moon, this will be out before then, to the Pisces eclipse. So you may feel intuitively you wanting to start something before you end something else. You start something around the eclipse, something provokes you, even if it's just a thought, an idea, you start to think more in depth about, you're excited about, it's finally showing you. But in what's brought you there is through these vulnerabilities, through this stuck place, through Mars finally getting to you, Saturn is heading back into Capricorn for a moment, which is clarifying some things. So you might have some communications where it sparks like again something that you've thought of before, and you're like, are you sure you don't want to try this? And it's not testing you, it's actually asking you. It's saying, hey, like, where do you need to master right now, and what decisions do you need to make and decide upon in order for you to look at your future, plan ahead? What have you been afraid to do? And maybe you've been looking too much towards your fears or where it could go wrong, instead of finding the opportunity and the doubt to have the courage and the passion to move towards fulfillment. Scared of what people think? Do something brave and you'll see what people think about you. Do something that is super courageous in a way that, you know, maybe it gives you an ego boost, it's a risk, but it's also a part of your growth. It's also saying, hey, you have nothing to lose. Whether you're at the best place in your life, the worst place in your life, or at that middle road, right now is encouraging us to especially fix signs to say, what if you take this slight step? What if you see what's possible? No harm done. Have you created enough relationships? What do your relationships look like if they fall apart because of this communication or a miscommunication, or something that you're wanting new to experience and learn and be better at because you know that will continue your process? Let people talk. Hear what they have to say. You'll know who's actually encouraging you, who's actually a part of your growth, and you'll see who would like to see you remain safe and comfortable and in a place where, you know, your insecurities rule your life. And then notice what you feel outspoken about. What do you feel so connected to that you feel so much drive and outspoken about? There's something in that. There's something in that lights your body up, or what really moves you, right? What lights your body up in that way, what moves you, and what's moving through you at this time is these small disruptions to the pattern that you've been in. Or if you're someone who does need to start slow and then you can really commit, or if you're a Scorpio that just jumps right in, this is for both of you. You can at any point write down and look out thoroughly. Like, write down thoroughly. I just bought myself a whiteboard, and it's a great place to just let things out and see it instead of looking at a small, I know we're in Virgo season, but sometimes the details need to be loud. Sometimes they connect the dots to the general, right? So there are times where I talk about a lot of different things, but eventually it really does pull itself together, and I've learned to do my best to trust that in these videos and in what I do, because if I don't do that and I have too much doubt, then that will cloud any direction that the cards are bringing us in this moment, because it's not just about me, it's about you and the space that we're in and the safety of the space that we're in and your ability to listen. So what does it look like to listen to yourself and to hear yourself through visual almost? And if you're into visuals, maybe looking through or watching movies that provoke certain energies from you. Like, I bet you can think about things that have inspired you or people that have inspired you. Maybe that's what you go back to this month to re-inspire you. Maybe there's something new that comes along that you didn't think would, but it comes back up, and here it is exposing you to something that makes you feel more alive than you have felt in probably a while. And you didn't know it was missing, you didn't know what was happening, but you were getting yourself safe and secure within yourself. It doesn't matter which Scorpio you are, you're sensitive, especially bodily. So going or doing anything that may disrupt something that you've created such certainty around, which is how you feel and how these things affect your body and your life, you're thinking about healing perhaps. And now what you're healing is a sense of adventure, the sense of trust within yourself, what it looks like to get there, and maybe even seeing out and outlining a long-term plan that doesn't need to have, maybe you put it out on a big space and you don't need to fill everything in. You can leave space for spontaneity, you can leave space for growth, and maybe you just start to outline some things, and then all of a sudden you see yourself filling in the blanks. The moon is exposing to you how powerful your creativity is, and how you can really get lost in it or into it or really deeply invested, which then it becomes this part of you, and maybe you don't release as much as you should, or you don't put out as much as you should, or you hold back. And then when you do put out, you don't put it out all the way because it feels too big, because you've been gone too long. Hermit season understands that. Virgos understand that. Do it in whichever way feels most natural to you. That's what Virgo wants you to get back to. What feels most natural to you at this time? What do you and how do you see yourself moving forward? Can you move forward with all of everything that you are now? What if you don't know? Ask, write it down, ask out loud, be willing to receive the answers, be willing to be in the conversations that provide this information for you. Because another way that you could see this is that this brings you through a very overpowering and maybe more demanding of your energy and time, and all of a sudden you see what's been way too demanding of your energy and time, and it's been keeping you from connecting to this potential. It's almost like for some of you, you've been really keeping yourself in this pen, in this place of like, if I don't, do too much, it won't feel so hard. But it's because you haven't had that steady normal process of being in that whatever space that you find to be creative, that you find to be joyful, that you find, if you haven't had that stability over time, this is the perfect time to allow yourself to experience a regeneration. and a resurfacing of that, and realizing what makes you feel, like what makes you sway, what makes you all of a sudden you find yourself like just laughing and playing, and then, you know, all of a sudden dreams are being fulfilled and connections are being made, and you're like, I don't even know how I did that, because your energy is that powerful. So anyone with Scorpio and like major placements or any placements at home, any in your chart, especially as you go towards the outer, you start to sense, even if you're in a bigger space, you can sense everything that's happening, which was why it can become overstimulating for some. But learning about your energy, learning what you need can be a process. However, whenever you put out something that's so unique and specific to you, or you put something out there with people and then you're in an atmosphere, you're in a place, and all of a sudden it's extending, you draw things to you, for better or for worse, right? For negative or for positive, it's all for the growth, but you draw more experiences like that to you, you know? You start to feel into the waves, especially if it's very true and very real. And you could say that about any sign, but the way that you do it has such an echo, and it can have such an echo. And what you may be overcoming more at this time, if you feel like this is very challenging for you and you are scared, and this is in a very compassionate way. My cat is running tight behind me. He has been so funny with me today. He's been very much like a child lately. But he's so soft. Say hi. Just interlude into the... You have to get over yourself at some point, right? There is a point where, you know, you kind of have to say, you know what, fuck it. Sorry, that came out like this. You know, fuck it. Hey, what you doing? He's like, there's like no room on this chair. I don't know what he thinks he does every time. Then he wants to bite me. He just does that. He doesn't like to be, I can't see him, so I have to touch his head and neck. He doesn't like to be touched really much lower, which is interesting for a cat. But anyway, what this is exposing to you is maybe the question all along. More money, more opportunity, more growth. You need to expose yourself. You need to let yourself out. You need to show yourself, because you will be shown regardless, but you need to show yourself to the world. What if you were just in line with it instead of waiting and like, what if you just presented your opportunity and took up space? What if you let go? Especially for those of you who find yourself wanting to change, or finding that you've been influenced by community, or you've been influenced in these ways, yet you want to bring community together at this time, or you are changing up where you work in the workplace that's bringing you to another space, or you're changing up your space in general, or the people that you hang around with, you're starting to see where maybe you're drifting from some, let alone to others, where you want to invest your time and money, how much your joy means to you, and being and learning to have pleasure and create. So if you're, you know, wanting to create, that may be in your realm, but also be careful if you don't want to. But either way, you can feel deep in your bones, like for some of you it's like, finally I feel like this is going to have longevity. I can feel the way forward, and whenever I get excited, it's like this full experience that I can viscerally see going into the future. That's your manifestation, part of it. And so then you get these opportunities, and then you have to commit to the opportunities. You have to commit to the confidence. That's the bottom of the deck that we'll get into. But this is what Leo season is kind of has wrapped up for you. But Mercury in Leo too is giving you maybe some bright ideas for some of you, especially for how you work in the world. You may be revealing yourself differently in how you work. Again, you might have a different role, you may have a promotion, you may have found a different gig. Either way, you're exposing yourself to the world in these ways, and it's revealing something especially about what's been hidden within your inner child, and what's maybe needed, how this has been connected to your inner child, or how you were raised, and your relationships with your caregivers, and trusting. And somewhere in there, maybe you thought, well, if that happened, when I was that way and I felt that way, so joyous, so happy, then all of a sudden something maybe unfortunate or traumatic or detrimental to your mental experience was attached to feeling that way, and then that shifted. The light, man, it's so funny. It shifted in your life. It could have closed you off in a way and caused that to become more of a negative core memory, perhaps, or just a part of your life that you've been attached to, a part of your identity you've been attached to, and now you're getting a new chance at that, and you're getting to really heal that part of you that also wants to create for the joy of it, but also for your life moving forward, or create something new in your life, or not be afraid to be happy for yourself in certain ways. And I know for some of you, you won't relate to that. This is a general reading, but the cards are revealing themselves to you. And to be able to attach these times to happier things and not, you know, maybe retrograde doesn't mean going backwards. It's an illusion, and it's also, and it gives you a view of where maybe you've been illusioned or disillusioned, or where maybe you need to clear up some illusions, or where you've been distracted by comfort, or what you thought was comfort, or what appears comfort but you're not. There's a change happening, there's a shift happening, you feel it happening, and it's coming from your nervous system, your heart, and for some of you, deep within your bones. This is about revealing something that even is connected to your ancestry and your lineage. And if that brings up something for you, I definitely recommend go diving deeper into it, for sure. Is there anything else before I want to wrap this up for you? Yeah, I'll go ahead on fulfillment, meaning family, career moves, planning a career move, moving through what has gotten in your way from doing that, what you've held on to, and what you can maybe let go of, and in certainty that what comes back or what you move through next will bring you what you're truly meant to connect to at this time. And, you know, different planets will be moving into your subconscious, and then eventually the sun will. So this is bringing you fruits, and you won't have to stay out in the limelight forever. You can get to work very quickly after, don't worry. But absorb this in a way, maybe you can absorb this in a way where it's like soaking up the sun, where it's good for you, it's pleasurable, it's real, it's to the touch, and it's a moment. It's a moment of certainty. And we'll talk even more about like the will. You have so much will, but do you have the will to maybe sacrifice or give up? And for a lot of you, I think it's your attachment to something. It's more emotional in order to grow. Because especially if you're seeking growth. If you're not seeking growth, well, you know, maybe this isn't the place for you. But you're noticing what's also a part of your connections, your relationships, your communities that has you held back, and how your mind wants to move forward with your body, with your emotions, with you full on. But you know what comes after that, and you know there's more movement, and a part of you is tired. But what's more tiring? Going through the same thing that you know you'll go through and you'll come up against, and you maybe begin suffering internally, which can cause other things to happen? Or do you want to engage with this and move through in a time where this can aid in your healing? It's not an ultimatum, it's just something to think about. Never an ultimatum. Free will always. The opportunities that are coming are going to ask for your commitments. Your hand, dear. But let's get into the next part. I'm excited to meet you there. See you there. All information is below, which I wanted to say in the beginning, but all information is below to work with me. By the time this comes out, even before this comes out, I'm doing a new moon special on the day of the new moon, 50% off all services. If you're looking to check that out, please go to my website. Everything's there. You can contact me. My email is also below. There's a new podcast out, and this month will be in the nervous system and probably have more clarity from last month. The last month was a journey through the heart. So please take a look there. Other ways to get to know me and how I read and my different ways of viewing the world and how what I absorb and learn and what feels true in my body and my intuition and how I like to connect it. And how I can hopefully help you. As always, thank you for being here. Please like, subscribe, comment. Word of mouth, I feel, is always the best. So share with a friend, share with someone that you feel like maybe, perhaps. Either way, we'll see you in the next one, Scorpio.